It's a pleasure to welcome all of you on behalf of the Sher-Gil Sundaram Arts Foundation to this evening's event, the grantee announcement of the Umrao Singh Sher-Gil Grant for Photography for the category of the constructed image. The grantee announcement will be followed by a lecture by Azun Wakbogu, and it will be chaired by Shuddhabrata Sengupta. To briefly introduce SSAF, it was established in 2016 with the mandate to carry forward the legacy of scholar and photographer Umrao Singh Sher-Gil, his daughter and a pioneering figure of modern Indian art, Amrita Sher-Gil, and her nephew and niece, artist Vivan Sundaram and filmmaker and television journalist Navina Sundaram. Since its inception, the foundation's mandate has been to support and enable conjunctions of artistic and cultural practice that deal with historical memory with a view towards building futures based on secular principles and freedom of expression. SAF is committed to advancing creative independence and supporting alternative and heterodox practices. And I encourage you to visit our website, ssaf.in, to learn more about our programs. Established in 2015, the Umrao Singh Sher-Gil Grant for Photography recognizes a photographer's commitment to the constructed image, as well as documentary photography projects. Umrao Singh Sher-Gil was born in 1870 and was a scholar of Persian and Sanskrit who spent a contemplative life in pursuit of knowledge of the arts and the philosophy of religion. His photographic practice, in keeping with his reclusive nature, was a private affair, and his principal subjects were his family and himself. In 2007, a retrospective exhibition of Umrao Singh's modern and vintage prints was held at the Rencontre d'Arles Photography Festival in France, followed by exhibitions at the National Gallery of Modern Art in Delhi and Mumbai. This retrospective having garnered critical attention, Umrao Singh was recognized as a photographer of considerable importance. His self-portraits span almost 60 years and make up a unique archive. He is now regarded as a pioneering figure of the mise-en-scène or staged photography in India. In 2022, SSAF pledged 2 annual photography grants in Umrao Singh's name to encourage independent voices in photography, each reflecting on the constructed image and documentary photography. The grant is intended to assist photographers who have started a project and require financial assistance to complete their work. The applicants for the 2 grants within the Umrao Singh Sher-Gil Grant for Photography 2022 were selected by 20 nominators from across the country. I would now like to extend a very warm welcome to our jury for the grant. Jury Chair Azun Wakbogu and jury members Ranbir Kaleka and Pushpamala N. I invite the jury chair, Azun Wakbogu, to announce the 2022 grantees for the category of the constructed image and to read the jury statement, and also request the jury members, Ranbir Kaleka and Pushpamala, to say a few words.
Thank you so much for the generous introduction. For the constructed image grant, the jury unanimously voted in favor of Anita Khemka and Imran Kokiloo for their deliberate and personal interpretation of the multiple subjective realities of life in Kashmir in Tales from Kashmir. The jury was impressed with their location-specific approach in constructing narratives, as they say, from looking at ourselves as Kashmiris through others to now looking at Kashmir through us as a family. This narrative shift adopts the performative mise-en-scène approach produced in situ over several return visits to various historical sites in the Kashmir region. The homage to folk narratives and the adoption of the pinhole camera were particularly impressive. The jury recognizes that the Umrao Singh Sher-Gil Grant for Constructed Image and Photography is awarded for artists and photographers to realize and complete their submitted project. We congratulate Khemka and Kokiloo on their award and are excited to see the completed body of work in 2023. Congratulations, Khemka and Kokiloo.
I now invite Pushpamala and Ranbir to say a few words.
Hi. Well, first of all, I would congratulate Imran and Anita. I think it was made all the, there were other fine works to consider, but the longer we spent, we thought it'll be worthwhile if their project, well, there you are, if your project, could be continued. And I had seen your work first in Houston. I think that those large works, they were unforgettable in many ways, as the events were unforgettable. But there was this sense of the kind of a spectral feel to them. There was a presence and a non-presence. I think that worked very well. But then you saw the real body being pierced, and one could, see inside. So very much look forward to your project, and also, how you would be taking a locale from one place and then inserting yourself and also inserting the stories. I just want to know, I don't quite recall if it was in the proposal that you wrote, that would you also be inviting stories, and also would you be inventing stories, which would be meaningful, which would anyway would speak of a truth of a kind, but they could be, they could be invented.
Well, my name is Imran. Hi.
Yes, Imran.
For this work, we started with the idea of using our folk tales, because folk tales are the most truthful events that you can think of. They're the most truthful reflection of a society.
Indeed.
And we're kind of continuing with that tradition.
Yes.
And in doing so, a lot of things will be reimagined. A lot of incidences which have happened in the past 30 years will be reimagined, reinterpreted, and they will be seen through our eyes and the way we look at them.
Right.
That's why we mentioned the incidences which have been newsworthy or not. And we also mentioned about oral traditions, which probably a lot of people have no idea about. And these at times are sayings of the way we, in Kashmiri, the way we can actually condense a very big idea into 3 or 4 short words. So our endeavor would be also to put those stories into our images.
Yes, wonderful. I just remember one, while we were talking about, I just recalled how you would also bring in the beauty of the ordinariness of their lives. I have a doctor friend in Srinagar, and during one of the those terrible days events, which are far too frequent, he sent me a photograph. He said his 13-year-old, they were all distressed, but his 13-year-old boy went out into the snow and with a camera. And then he showed me the photograph. He had just photographed a flower. I thought that was very, very beautiful. And this young boy writes poetry. He's 14-year-old. And
so we also intend to look at family histories, personal histories, and try and recreate and reimagine incidents that were actually lived. Because over the years, the history has changed. The folktales are there, but the content of the new folktales that are being created has changed over the years. Indeed. So we intend to look at that as well. Because what is happening today will become a folktale for 30, 40 years down the lane.
Yes, Anita.
I invite Pushpamala to say a few words as well.
Congratulations, Anita and Imran. You know that when I was a curator of the Chennai Photo Biennale, I was very keen that they show this work. That is the only other work I've seen of theirs. It was, these large X-ray images of the people who had pellet wounds, and but they felt it was that is an odd time, and they didn't want to sort of bring that into the public sort of space at that point. So I was very disappointed that this body of work would not be included in the Biennale. But what interested me, of course, it was a very unanimous decision, and all of us had decided, I think personally, that this was the best project. You're on a different register now, and that is very interesting because I think the earlier work was very directly political, very strongly political, and now it's sort of in this kind of slightly fantasy space, and that's also, I think, one of the dilemmas of activism, that you're always like talking about the outside, and then what about the inside, and what about the personal, and so on. So at some point that has to be brought in, because that gives that human dimension and the humanity of the people involved and of that situation, and that it's very relatable. It's not something that you always only read about in the news or see on TV channels and the documentaries and so on. So it makes it more kind of complex as well, and more nuanced as well. So this is a fantastic project, and I think another thing is that it's a very beginning, so one doesn't know where it's good, how the final works, what the final works will be like, and that will be very exciting to see, I think. So that's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Azu, Pushpamala, and Ranbir. I now invite the founder and managing trustee of SSAF, Vivan Sundaram, to say a few words.
Congratulations, Anita and Imran. It seems like I'm giving some members of my family congratulations. By that I mean that for many months I've been working with them in a collaborative project, not only with them, but with their two wonderful daughters who are wonderful performers. And we've done one version like with shadows called Penumbra, and the second version using the green screen background, using or relating to Imran's photographs around Srinagar. And so it's sort of, again, in one sense, the city is entered by the performative elements with him and his daughters, and they then move in different locations of the city. So it's very gratifying to know. And just as a short flashback, I think it was about 3 years ago where you gave a project about you weren't selected, but I'm so glad that you didn't give up and again entered, and you have been so unanimously accepted by this wonderful jury led by Azu, and their appreciation of your work, the documentary, the folk, and then the pinhole camera effect, which I'm very eager to see. So congratulations. And of course, in recent years, both of you have now formed a couple group, if I might use that word, and have received a lot of appreciation to show in different international locations. And you will now, I'm sure, with this award, hopefully continue that both nationally and internationally.
Thank you, Vivan. It's wonderful that we have Anita and Imran with us this evening. And I invite them to briefly talk about their project, Tales from Kashmir. They have some images that they'll also share with us.
Thank you, Gayatri. Thank you so much, Vivan. It's been a wonderful privilege to work with you the last 1 year, and for the girls as well. It was a lovely experience, and Imran and I are both honored to have won this award, and we would like to thank the foundation, the jury chair, and our nominators for this wonderful, wonderful opportunity. We'll show you some works, and I'm going to share my screen for that. So we have received this award to work on a project titled Tales from Kashmir. It has taken us 6 years to arrive at this point of our practice. It was actually in 2016 that I found myself in a situation which I'd never experienced before. I mean, Imran was still used to this while he was growing up, but I had lived through a 2-week curfew for the first time. I was visiting Kashmir with my daughters, and I was housebound. And before that, I'd never worked in Kashmir because there was never this compelling urge to do that. And I thought that there was nothing that I could really add to the dialogue that was already ongoing. But it was this curfew situation that actually compelled me to sort of work on Kashmir, and that's when Imran and I started collaborating. So this first work was a series of portraits that came out and emerged as a reaction to what I had experienced. And these were formal portraits of people standing in protest with a placard. And during this visit, we also started making some extra portraits.
Yeah. So we, at that time, we also made some X-rays for the pellet victims. And initially what we did is we took these individual X-rays and made portraits as fragmented pieces of different body parts, which we combined together. But as time went by, we worked on them again and combined them properly and made portraits of individuals and not just various body parts. These were portraits of people with embedded pellets in them, now a part of them. We continued working on Kashmir and since have tackled different issues from there. My conversation with the young people who had been injured with pellets led me to work and look back at my own growing up years in the peak of militancy during early 90s and mid 90s. I started going back to places I would visit as a teenager and made my first pinhole images there. These photographs were in a sense a series of self-portraits. And then they made me question my own identity and the connection I and my family had with the land. In our work now, we saw images of our children coming in, as much as the images from my personal family album coming in. With the family album in mind, we approached Pro Helvetia in early 2021 for a residency grant to work on this idea of identity and geography. We produced 3 bodies of work here. The first one was the making of a family album, where we used printed photographs from a family album of the peaceful 80s as inserts in our new photographs. This work was exhibited during the recent Wasaska Photo Festival. The other work was about the relationship between space and our presence. Here we return to the idea of how spaces occupy us and how we leave our own traces behind, and how this interaction between the two contribute to the idea of the self, which forms the crux of our identity. Besides looking at Kashmir through our family, we also have been looking at the elements which impact the way Kashmiris see themselves, not just as individuals, but also as a collective. We created this installation called the Chandelier, a part of which was created in Vivan's studio for the Landskrona Photo Festival, using over 3,500 copies of correspondences between the petitioners, the courts, as well as the respondents. This journey brings us to this work, for which we have received this grant. And to elaborate that, I will hand over to Anita.
So like Imran mentioned, we are now looking at landscape, geography, and identity to sort of see the interplay these 3 elements have. And as you can imagine, anyone living in conflict would like to move to a peaceful place, preferably a place that has a similar landscape. Keeping the Swiss locales in mind and the similarity that Kashmir has with Switzerland, we got this grant from Pro Helvetia, and we started making these pinhole landscapes, which would serve as a canvas for us to tell our stories and our tales. With this grant, we intend to conduct research and look at Kashmiri folk tales, history, oral traditions, families, family events, and news events to create tales for each canvas. And before I end, I want to thank Devika Daulat Singh, who's been a wonderful friend and also a great mentor, not only through this journey, but many more journeys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Imran and Anita, and many congratulations to both of you on receiving the grant.